there, very good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime News on TV1 for the News First, where the people come first. I'm Martin Satyanesan. Let's start off with a look at your headlines for this afternoon.
Social media activist Dilan Senanayake stabbed in his own office. No arrests yet. TID questions a Mainagogama activist as to whether Vasantha Mudalige led the unrest that captured temple trees. Sri Lanka's recession is likely to deepen amid high inflation rate.
On to your top story this afternoon. The Department of Census and Statistics revealed that Sri Lanka's growth rate for the third quarter of 2022 was estimated as 11.8% of negative growth. In more local news, a tense situation arose yesterday over a distribution of fertilizer at the Agrarian Services Centre in Aluthwawa, Hambegamuwa in Monaragala. Now, one of your other top story. The Criminal Investigations Department is probing the murder of Colombo-based businessman Dinesh Shafter. A CID team was at the Borella Cemetery this morning for an inquiry. Businessman Dinesh Shafter was found with his limbs bound and choked inside his car at the Borella Public Cemetery and died last night at the National Hospital while being treated in the ICU.
Crime Watch.
Businessman Dinesh Shafter was found with his limbs bound and choked inside his car at the Borella Public Cemetery last afternoon. He had told his wife that he was heading to Borella, and Sri Lanka police said that multiple calls made by his wife had gone unanswered. After tracing his phone to the public cemetery in Borella, the wife of the late Dinesh Shafter had called his workplace and informed of the matter. An employee was rushed to the public cemetery where he found Dinesh Shafter bound and bruised in the car. The employee, together with a cemetery worker, had then admitted Dinesh Shafter to the Colombo National Hospital. 51-year-old Dinesh Shafter was a resident of Flower Road, Colombo 7.
There were chills this morning in Borella as the day began, as Dinesh Shafter's death was reported early this morning. He died last night, but what we know as of now is that he had entered with a funeral procession. The vehicle with Dinesh Shafter had entered Borella Cemetery behind another funeral procession, and as of since then rather, what happened is quite unclear. But what we do know is that behind me you see the location where he was found inside his very own vehicle. Now, what happened is still unclear, and the CID continues to investigate while News First continues to report the latest.
The Department of Census and Statistics revealed that Sri Lanka's growth rate for the third quarter of 2022 was estimated as 11.8% of negative growth.
The state-run Census and Statistics Department said that in the third quarter of the year 2022, the agriculture activities have contracted by 8.7%. During the third quarter of the year 2022, overall industrial activities have reported a shrinkage of 21.2%. In the third quarter of this year, the performance of the service sector has declined by 2.6% when compared to the 1.7% drawback of the same quarter of the year 2021. The Department of Census and Statistics said in its report that high inflation, energy crisis that prevailed during the early stages of this quarter, high interest rates, shortage of inputs required for the manufacturing activities, high prices of inputs, shortage of cement, high prices of construction materials, problems associated with fertilizer usage and agrochemical sectors, increase in the cost of transportation, difficulties in distributing goods, decrease in the demand of essential and non-essential goods and services due to the reduction of the real income of the people have directed the economy towards this decline. Due to these problems, the construction industry saw a drop of 33.2% and mining and quarry by 45.9% in the third quarter of this year. In the third quarter, the marine fishing and marine aquaculture sector dropped by 33.5%. The contraction in the agriculture activities were mainly driven by the marine fishing and marine aquaculture, growing of cereals, growing of rice, animal production, growing of tea and growing of vegetables, growing of fruits and the growing of rubber.
A tense situation arose yesterday over the distribution of fertilizer at the Agrarian Services Centre in Alutwava, Hambegamuwa in Monoragala.
The farmers stated that they had not received fertilizer even though they had paid the money. Farmers allege that there are irregularities in the distribution of fertilizer among farmers' organizations. These were the views expressed by officials regarding the farmers' allegations.
මුදල් වලට අක්කරයකට කොච්චරද දෙන්නේ? අක්කරයකට කිලෝ 63ක් දෙනවා. 63ක් දෙනවා. අවස්ථා හතරකදී. උදනාවක් කරනවා ගොවියන් අර නොමිලේ දෙන කිලෝ 50 අඩු කරලා දෙන්නේ කියලා. නෑ එහෙම අඩු කරලා දෙන්න බෑ. දැන් අඩු කරලා කිව්වා ඉන්නවනේ. ඔව් සෝරි අඩු කරලා දෙන්නේ. කොහොමද කියලා තියන්නේ? එහෙම කියලා තියන්නේ. කොහෙන්ද කියලා තියන්නේ? දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවෙන් කියලා තියන්නේ.
On the 12th of December, a protest was held opposite the Agrarian Services Centre in Alutwava, Hambegamuwa, Monragala, demanding fertilizer. Meanwhile, the farmers of the Hambegamuwa South Bank Farmers Organisation returned the money doled out to them to obtain fertilizer at the Hambegamuwa Rajamahaviharya last morning.
The People's Movement for a Lawful and Just Society says the law must be fair for all citizens. They made these remarks at a media briefing held in Polonnaruwa yesterday.
Article 12 of the Constitution states all persons are equal before the law and are entitled to the equal protection of the law. Convener of the IUSF, Vasanta Mudalige, has been detained for more than 90 days under the PTA. Gotabaya Rajapaksa, who was president of Sri Lanka, is not the president anymore. He is not entitled to presidential immunity either. All the cases filed against him in the past have now been swept under the carpet. Since he does not have immunity, those can continue. We do not see that happening. A different version of the law is being enacted in the case of Diana Gamage, who hid her foreign citizenship and obtained a passport illegally. The same is applied to Basil Rajapaksa and Ajit Niwad Cabral. However, the common people are treated differently through the law. Our request from the government, responsible authorities and institutions is that they mete out justice in a manner that is fair for all in accordance with the Constitution.
පාර්ශවයන්ගෙන් වගේ යුතු ආයතනයන්ගෙන් අපි ඉල්ලා සිටින්නේ නීතිය ක්‍රියාත්මක කිරීම ਸਰව සාධාරණව ආණ්ඩුක්‍රම ව්‍යවස්ථාවට අනුකූලව කටයුතු කරන ලෙස.
Samagi Jana Balawege MP Ashok Abesinghe says the present rulers of the country are deceiving the people.
අපේ රටේ ජනතාවට ජීවත් වෙන්න බැරි තත්ත්වයක්.
Against a backdrop where the people of the country are facing difficulties to fulfill basic requirements, the rogues are banding together. Those who were involved in the central bank bond scam, MIG deal, tsunami fund scam and sugar tax scam are grouping to contest the elections and deceive the people again. The people are waiting to defeat them. The country is ruled by an individual who received 134 votes from the SLPP. They have forgotten the fact that the majority of the cabinet is from the SLPP. However, Basil Rajapaksa says that they will not take responsibility for this.
ආණ්ඩු කරන්න කියලා. ඉතින් නැවතත් මේ රටේ ජනතාව රවට්ටමින් ඒගොල්ලෝ එකතු වෙන්න යනවා.
The Supreme Court has decided to consider two applications filed seeking an order on the National Election Commission to call for local government elections without delay. The applications will be considered on the 18th of January 2023.
The applications were filed by Professor G.L. Piris, Anupriya Dashanayapa, Dayasiri Jayasekara, Lakshman Kiriyalla, M.A. Sumandiran, among other MPs in the opposition in Parliament. The applications were taken up in the presence of Justices Priyantha Jayawardena, Kumudini Vikramasinghe and Achala Vengappuli. The chairman and members of the Elections Commission and Prime Minister were named as respondents in the applications and the bench ordered to send notice to them to make submissions. The petitioners claim that there is an attempt to delay the local government elections and thereby would violate the people's right to exercise their franchise.
Businesswoman Tilini Piyamali, who was arrested and remanded for alleged financial fraud, was granted bail by Fourth Magistrate Tilina Gamage today. Tilini Piyamali was released on a cash bail of 15,000 rupees and two personal bails of 1 million each. However, the overseas travel ban imposed by court remains in effect. She was also ordered to report to the Criminal Investigations Department of the final Sunday of every month. In more news from the courtroom, Fourth Magistrate Tilina Gamage on Friday rejected a request made for State Minister Sanat Nishanta to travel overseas. Counsel appearing for Sanat Nishanta last week requested the court's permission for the State Minister to travel overseas, and the order on the request was delivered on Friday. State Minister Sanat Nishanta is named as a main suspect in the case filed over the incident where ISLPP supporters who gathered at Temple Trees on the 9th of May 2022 attacked protesters who were at Golface Green. Moving along, Sri Lanka's Ministry of Power and Energy says that the Sapugaskanda oil refinery will reopen today. The refinery was closed down on the 7th of October 2022 due to insufficient stocks of crude oil to produce fuel.
The ministry said that 2 crude oil shipments reached Sri Lanka recently and another is anchored at the Colombo port. It added that 1,500 metric tons of diesel, 550 metric tons of petrol and 950 metric tons of kerosene and jet fuel and 1,500 metric tons of naphtha will be produced from the Sapugaskanda oil refinery daily from Friday. In addition, Lanka Coal Company Private Limited said that the entire stock of coal required for electricity generation can be imported to the country by the 30th of April 2023. During this period, 32 shipments are expected to reach Sri Lanka and 5 of them have already reached the country, while another is expected next week. The remaining shipments will reach the country from January 2023 and 5 shipments will reach Sri Lanka weekly. Lanka Coal Company Private Limited said that there is no need for an unnecessary panic over the claims made that the Norochole coal power plant will not be able to function.
Fishing and naval communities are requested to be attentive to forecasts issued by the Department of Meteorology as the low-pressure area over the southeast Bay of Bengal persists over the region. Here's a look at the weather forecast for the weekend.
A showery condition is expected to enhance in the northern, north central and eastern provinces of the island in the next few days. Several spells of showers will occur in eastern and Uva provinces and in Polonnaruwa, Matale and Hambantota districts. Showers or thunder showers will occur at a few places in western and Sabaragamu provinces and in Gaul and Matara districts during the afternoon or night. The general public is kindly requested to take adequate precautions to minimize damages caused by temporary localized strong winds and lightning during thunder showers.
If you have missed our headlines this afternoon, here's a look at it again.
CID takes over the investigation on the Dinesh Shafter murder. Met Department warns of gale winds for several parts of the country. Fishing and naval communities requested to be vigilant. Sapugaskanda oil refinery reopens. India successfully tests Agni 5 missile.
Those were your headlines. In more local news, the police have commenced investigations using the CCTV footage connecting the theft of an archaeological monument called Sandagala, situated at the Udamaluwa Archaeological Reserve in Kundasale. Palekale police noted 2 separate teams have been deployed to investigate the incident.
This circular archaeological monument with elaborate carvings is around 4 feet long and 3 feet wide and was located at the site where the palace of King Sri Veeraparakrama Narendra Singha was located, who reigned between 1707 and 1739 AD. Police noted a group of people who arrived on a heavy vehicle had stolen the relic on Wednesday. Newsfirst inquired about the incident from the Director General of Archaeology, Senior Professor Atula Manatunga. He noted an investigation from the department's level has also been initiated. Accordingly, duties of 2 security guards deployed at the location have been suspended.
A book launch of several books authored by students of Dharmaraja College in Kandy took place at the college auditorium.
This was organized for the 5th time by the College Literary Society under the name Panhida Pot Dorata Vaduma. The launch was headed by the principal of the college, Kamalari Singha, and senior professor of the Sinhala department attached to the University of Peradeniya, Liyanage Amarakirti. 156 books authored by school students were launched at the occasion.
අපේ රටේ අධ්‍යාපන ක්‍රමයෙන් අපි ගොඩනගන
There are two types of citizens we create through our education systems. The first is called lots. That means people with low order thinking skills. That includes a majority in the education system. The status of the political authority of Sri Lanka and its society have ended up here because of this education system. The other group is HOTS. That is people with higher order thinking skills. They are creative, they can evaluate things well as analyze matters. The country needs citizens with higher order thinking skills.
මේ higher order thinking skills තියෙන පුරවැසියෝ ඒ කියන්නේ HOTSලා.
In the spirit of giving for this Christmas, you now can donate educational stationery items for school students who have been battered by the economic crisis. You can donate books, coloring books, pencils, pastels, rulers and color pencils among other stationery items to the Shakti Potyatra book donation drive.
The Sirasa Shakti Potyatra book donation drive will continue until the 24th of December, and you can donate exercise books, colouring books, pencils, pastels, rulers and colour pencils among others to the following collection points. Head office of the Capital Maharaja Group in Colombo 2, Depanama Studio Complex, Stein Studios Ratmalana, Echelon Square in Colombo, Kandy City Centre. The stationery items that you donate will be delivered directly to the children during Christmas.
Shifting your attention to international news. Day 2 of Russian attacks on central Kherson began after being recaptured by Ukraine last month.
ඇත්ත කෙටියෙන් දත්ත වැඩියෙන් සයිබර් අවකාශයේ කළඹන වුවත් සලකුණ News First YouTube channel අදම subscribe කරන්න. News First ජනතාව සමග. News First News Alert ඔබේ ජංගම දුරකථනයටත් ඔබ ඩයිලොග් පාරිභෝගිකයෙක් නම් English Alert සේවාව ලබා ගැනීමට NFU ලෙසත් Singlish Alert සේවාව ලබා ගැනීමට NUS ලෙසත් Tanglish Alert සේවාව ලබා ගැනීමට NAT ලෙසත් ටයිප් කර 678ට send කරන්න. News First ජනතාව සමග.
To develop new weapons and speed up its nuclear and missile programs.
ඇත්ත කෙටියෙන් දත්ත වැඩියෙන් සයිබර් අවකාශයේ කළඹන වුවත් සලකුණ News First YouTube channel අදම subscribe කරන්න. News First ජනතාව සමග. News First News Alert ඔබේ ජංගම දුරකථනයටත් ඔබ ඩයිලොග් පාරිභෝගිකයෙක් නම් English Alert සේවාව ලබා ගැනීමට NFU ලෙසත් Singlish Alert සේවාව ලබා ගැනීමට NUS ලෙසත් Tanglish Alert සේවාව ලබා ගැනීමට NAT ලෙසත් ටයිප් කර 678ට send කරන්න. News First ජනතාව සමග.
Time by 18 months over his arrest on charges of rebellion and conspiracy. Successfully tested the nuclear-capable Agni-5 missile, capable of striking targets at ranges up to 5,000 kilometers with a very high degree of accuracy. In your sports news, Sri Lanka Cricket has decided to appoint an election committee in accordance with the prevailing sports law regulations and constitution of the Sri Lanka Cricket. This is to conduct the forthcoming election of office bearers of Sri Lanka Cricket.
The members of the SLC election committee were appointed at an extraordinary general meeting held on Thursday. Justice Ms. Malini Gunaratne, retired judge of the Court of Appeal, Justice Ms. Shiromi Pereira, retired judge of the High Court, and Sunil Sirisena, retired senior public official of the Sri Lanka Administrative Service, were appointed to the election committee. The SSC membership unanimously elected the members of the election committee, who will now be tasked to conduct the election of office bearers at the forthcoming annual general meeting of the SLC in accordance with the prevailing sports law regulations and provisions of the Constitution of Sri Lanka Cricket, which is scheduled to be held on the 20th of May 2023.
From that, we bring to a close this edition of Lunchtime News on TV1. For details of the stories and much more, simply log on to our website www.newsfirst.lk. For News First, where the people come first. I'm Martin Satya News, and you take care and have a great day.